Good afternoon and happy Wednesday. I am super excited today to bring you this information. So, we will be discussing credit restoration and budgeting. I often tell people, if you're going to play the credit game, you need to learn how to build a winning hand. So, while I am personally not necessarily an advocate for debt, I do understand that in some instances it is completely unavoidable. So, joining me today is Santana Myers. He is the CEO of Favorable Finances. He will be talking to us today about credit restoration and budgeting and giving you some tips and pointers regarding the subject matter. Okay, so he will also share with you how you can reach him for consultation and an analysis of your specific situation. So, Santana, tell us a little bit about yourself and one interesting fact about you.
Okay, a little bit about myself, and thanks Tiffany for having me. A little bit about myself. I am a graduate of Texas A&M Commerce. I also I am in a field. I've been working for a company for 19 years, and then I ventured off to the credit repair because I wanted to do something that would be able to help not only myself and my family but others. Because growing up, we didn't always get that talk of how do you fix credit or whatnot. And a lot of people are just like me, went to college and they gave you a credit card at 18 years old and you had no idea what to do with it. So that's kind of a little bit about myself.
Awesome. That's awesome. So, let's jump right into it. So, talking about understanding credit, what is credit?
The credit is simply just the ability to understanding that you're going to be able to borrow money and knowing that you'll be able to pay it back.
What is a FICO score?
Oh, FICO score. That's a great question. So a FICO score is basically a summary of your credit report, and then it also tells you how long you've had credit, um, how much credit you have, and then if you how are you using your credit.
So, what actually makes up the credit score? There are a combination of things that factor into that. What makes up
hmm
the credit score?
there's five things that actually makes up a credit score. The number one is the payment history, right? You want to make sure you're paying on time, which is 35% of your score. The other one is debt utilization, which is 30% of your score. And then the length of credit you have is 15% of your score. Any new credit that you apply for within 2 year span is 10%. And then the types of credit that you have is 10% as well.
So, for anyone who is looking to build credit, what would your advice be? So, this would be someone who has maybe never used credit. They may even have a zero credit score, but they're looking to build credit.
Yeah, so if they're looking to build credit, and if they never had credit before, I just tell them to try to get a mix of credit. Credit is two things, right? You can have revolving credit, which is basically credit cards, right? And sometimes you can't always get a decent credit card if you don't have any credit card. You can look at a secured card, which you can get from your bank, that you can do, and then an installment loan. Installment loan could be a car payment. Well, if you don't have it, you're trying to get one, a car payment would be the best one for starting off or building credit.
So now we have people who have maybe have had some credit issues and looking to improve their credit. So for someone who is looking to improve or repair damaged credit, what would your advice be to them?
That will be pay your bills on time, right? That's the most important thing to do. Because sometimes we get caught up, right? Paying your bills on time is 35% of your score. And that is, I look at it as like GPA, right? If you're in school, you had a 4.0 and then you make a C or F and your 4.0 becomes a 2.5, right? Just for an example. It is going to be hard to get back up to that 4.0. You got to make a lot of A's, right, to get back up to that. So you have to do a lot of on-time payments to get your score back up. So on-time payment is the most important about improving your credit. Just educate yourself.
Mhm, mhm. And that's what we have you here for today, right? So let me
Mhm.
ask you a question. Is there a such thing as good and bad debt? Now I have my opinion, but we're taking the opinion of the expert today. So if so, please explain.
Well, yeah, and there is good, good debt and bad debt, right? So if you really think about it, anything that's going to be good debt is something that you can actually pay back on time. right? You have the ability to pay it back on time. And it's also going to give you some type of reward, right? It's going to help you both ways, which an example is a mortgage, right? A car loan, right? Because now you are paying on something that is good debt. You have somewhere to live, and then your credit is going up because you're making on-time payments. So that's good debt. The other one you asked is bad debt. It's kind of like the same. It's the opposite basically. If you can't make the payment, that's bad debt, right? You don't. Some people say credit cards, right? So if you max out your credit card and you can't make the payment, that's going to be bad debt.
So what about instances where people go to these maybe like a tote the note place, or places where they um, these you know what I'm talking about, like these Sharky loan type places where they want your car if you don't pay it back, that you
Yeah,
put up like a ridiculous thing
tote the-
collateral
yeah.
in the event that you don't pay them back, and the interest rates are astronomically high.
Yes, they are. And so I advise anybody. I know we all have to start somewhere, but there's other ways that you can do that. You can just shop around, right? Because once you look, if your credit score is not up to par, or not where you want it to be, you can shop around. You don't have to go with one of those um, tote the note. Sometimes you can get on a plan at a car lot that'll give you kind of like a payment. If you have a payment history of something else, you can go with them. You won't get the car you want, right? But you'll get something, right? Because that's just your credit. Once you build your credit, you will then be able to do that. You'll go and be able to pick the car you want. But we've all been there. But those are the things that you have to do. I wouldn't suggest going down that road because the interest rates are extremely high. And then the other things that you can do to build your credit so you can actually be able to get a car that you want and pay a less amount of interest as well.
And a lot of times what I've seen, not necessarily from personal experience, but from others that I've known who have used those types of lenders, is that those are really, I would consider them predatory lenders. And the product that you are actually leasing or purchasing is not up to par. So what tends to happen is that the loan lasts longer than the product, right? So the car
Right.
usually breaks down, is inoperable, and you're still paying a note on it. So people have a tendency to have a desire to not want to pay because they felt like they didn't really get quality, a quality car,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
So yeah. So
that
what are your
exactly.
thoughts? Give me your thoughts about paying an authorized you or paying to be an authorized user to build credit. So what I've been hearing here in the last few years is that, oh, I got a friend, I got a buddy, I'm charging $2,500 to, for somebody to be an authorized user on my credit. They never get the card. They're paying for access to someone else's credit history.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, that's not real
Yeah.
ethical, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have my opinion on it. So my thoughts are, hey, I'm not a fan, right? Because you're paying a temporary fix for something that's permanent. You have a permanent problem. So what if, for example, what if your friend, right, decides to take you off of their authorized user? You only have a certain amount of time. Your friend takes you off. Now your score drops right back down. So it's not I don't authorize anybody to do it. I wouldn't suggest anybody to do it because it's not a good thing,
Mhm.
right?
Well, and I think on the other side of that is that everybody at any particular point in time is subject to a situation that is not within their control. So if you are an authorized user and for whatever reason that person now is suffering in their credit score, the
Right,
last thing they may be thinking about is to take you off, but you have access to the good and the bad.
right,
Right. So I think those are things to be thinking about. But I think that, as people are trying to build credit, and as they're trying to fix what's on their report, being ethical should be at the top of that list.
that's right. Hmm.
So when we talk about understanding, we're just going to switch gears a little bit, talking about understanding a budget. Can you explain to our listening audience what a budget is?
Yes, simply, and sometimes people frown upon a budget. They're like, well, you got a budget, and all that. It's simply a tool, right, that tells you how much money is coming in and how much money is going out. People use it in different ways. Some people like Excel, some people like to write it down, but I suggest that you have a budget because it helps you tremendously overall.
And would you agree that the time of month to prepare the budget is really, you need to review your expenses at the end of the current month, and then you need to prepare a new budget at the beginning of every, really probably the last day of every month. You should be preparing for the next month. Would you agree?
Yes, I totally agree, right? Because everybody, their pay cycle is different, but normally your bills are every month, right? So if you get paid every 2 weeks, or if you get paid once a month, if you do it once a month, then you are able to actually coordinate and pay your bills right on time. Because we're paying bills on time, that's your credit score.
Absolutely. So how does a balanced budget factor into building a good credit score? I think you
Yeah,
just answered it, but let's answer that again because I think we need to understand that the two do tie into one another.
they do most definitely tie into one another. And I'll give you an example. It's kind of like uh, when people say, if the trunk of your car is not organized, then your closet is not organized, right? Or if they say, if you're late to work, all the time, you're gonna be late for paying your bills. So what they're trying to say is basically how you do one thing is going to factor over. It's going to bleed over into your other areas of your life. So if you don't have a budget and you're not able to maintain that budget every month, every week, or however you want to do it, you don't know what your credit score is going to like because you're not paying your bills on time. So you have to factor in both together, and so you're not basically living above your means or anything like that. So I highly suggest having a budget, and for my clients, I actually help them. Right, I have several budgets that I use because, like I say, people like different types of budgets.
So let's talk about credit restoration versus credit counseling because they are not one and the same. Can you explain the difference between credit counseling, credit repair, and credit counseling, credit repair, credit restoration, whatever we want to call it? Can you explain the difference between the two?
Yeah. So credit restoration or credit repair basically is you hire someone like myself to basically go to battle for you for everything that's on your credit, right? Whether it be late payments or it be miscommunication or whatever there may be, any unauthorized items that are on your credit. That is what credit repair or restoration is, and that normally comes with a fee, right? But if you're looking at credit counseling doesn't come with a fee. They basically it's usually a nonprofit that is doing that, and then it's also uh, they just give you the tools basically, and you go through workshops or things like that, and you do it on your own. A lot of people like, man, I don't have time to do that. I work every day. I don't have time to be fighting with people and writing letters and doing all that. And so that's where the credit repair and credit restoration comes in.
Okay. I think it's important to understand the difference between the two because one, you pay someone to do the work. The other, someone is, you actually are doing the work yourself.
Right.
So let's talk about favorable finances. You know, what are your qualifications as a credit repair company?
No, that's a great question. My qualifications are, um, I sat in the seat as most of my clients, right? I was the guy who struggled through, right? Because I didn't know about credit. My credit score was a 545. It was horrible, and I couldn't get anything, right? And so through a lot of heartache and pain, doing different things and educating myself about credit, my credit score now is an 810. And so I'm very proud of that score, and I'll try to keep it to that score. I actually I don't know why, but it's just a challenge to me now to try to get the 850, a perfect score. It don't mean nothing if you have eight; it's gonna be the same. But you just want to do that, and then so what I did was I went on. I got around myself a couple of mentors. I looked into how can I help someone else, right? And I went through the process of learning about credit, building my business, and now I have 2018. I started it. 20, do it. And then 2020, I actually launched it, right? Because I wanted to make sure I had all the things right. So we're new. I have about 8 clients. I say I have 3 paying clients. I have about three paying clients, 4 clients that I'm like pro bono. Hey, you can just, so I wanted to let them see that it does work. And then the other one is on the fence. So that's kind of a little bit about myself
Got
and what
you.
qualifies. Mm-hmm.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now you said you graduated from Texas A&M Commerce. What did you study at Texas A&M?
Yep, I studied business management
Okay,
at Texas A&M
great.
Commerce.
I wanted to make sure that you pointed that out because
Yeah,
that does factor into your qualifications. Whether you may, I
yeah,
think you kind of downplayed it a little bit. And I appreciate that you are a new business because we all have to start somewhere. But I think the testament to the fact that you know what it takes is you have the credits for your own personal testimony to prove it, right? And so
yeah,
we're looking for people who can help clients build that credit, become ready to purchase their next home, a car, whatever it is that they want to purchase. And so having an 18 credit score lets me know that I need to be calling as well.
yes.
So how long does it typically take for your clients to see improvements in their credit score?
Well, it's different, right? Every profile is different, but normally you can actually see results within 30 days, but we try to do 3 to 6 months, right? Because it takes time, right? It's not going to happen overnight, but 3 to 6 months is usually what you see, where you get the people who where they want to be at. And most people, when I do the consultation, they want to be able to purchase a home. They want to be at like a 700 to 17, 715. And so that's what we do within 3 to 6 months is the time that we normally see.
So what is your process regarding addressing erroneous or inaccurate information on the credit bureaus?
Yep. So basically, right, I have encrypted portal that I use, and I have all of the dispute letters and different things like that. And so all of my clients have access to that encrypted portal. I basically, like I say, I go to bat for them and uh, try to dispute anything that's not accurate or inaccurate information on their credit report. And so they have access to that. They can look at 24/7 anytime that they want. As long, and I just tell my clients another example is like working out, right? And so you can't expect to lose weight or work out if you don't do 1 or 2 things, right? You got to lift weights and eat right. And so I ask my clients just to eat right. What does that mean? Eat right. Pay your bills on time, right? Put the stuff in the portal, right? You have to do something. And so let me lift the weights. What are lifting the weights? I'm going to be fighting for the credit report. I'm going to be writing the letters. I'm going to be following up. And you have access to me on my portal 24/7. And you can just email or call me at any time.
So I think that's good because one of the things that we talked about was erroneous or inaccurate information. When I've had some discussions, I've been very particular about who I refer my clients to. And so some people dispute everything. And I don't
Yeah.
necessarily think that that's the right approach.
No, that's absolutely right. You don't want to dispute everything, right? So, for example, you don't want to, if someone had 2 year payment history and they've been on time for 2 years and they have maybe one late payment, you don't want to dispute that because you get rid of all of that positive credit, and now that score is going to go down instead of going up. So you don't want to dispute that, right? That's something that it won't be. It will impact you negatively instead of positively. So yeah, right. You don't want to dispute everything.
So before we close out, is there anything that you would like to share with our listening audience that has not been covered in our discussion so far?
No, I think you asked great questions, and I think we talked about a lot of things, and I think if either way, if they use me or not, just pay your bills on time. That's the start, right? Paying your bills on, and I preach that to the day, right? Put it on auto payment. If you got a phone bill that's $50 a month, or your mortgage or whatever it is, and it's a monthly fee, and it's the same every month, put it on auto pay. That's the best thing to do. Put it on auto pay, and you will start in the right. That's the start in the right direction improving your credit.
Awesome. Thank you so much. How can our listeners reach you should they desire to set up a consultation?
Yeah, so if they desire to set up a consultation, I am on all social media platforms at Santana Myers or Favorable Finances. You can just click on that link, and then my website is in the bio, and my website is www.favorablefinances.com. Tells you all of that information on there. And oh yeah, by the way, I do have a money back guarantee process as well. You can read about that on their website.
Awesome. Well, Santana, I just want to thank you again for taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak with my listening audience today. Hopefully, they will be giving you a call. I know I definitely will. So, again, thank you. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Stay safe and be wise out there, folks. Signing off.
Thank you.